So the first thing we're going to teach you how to do is how to factor quadratic equations. But first, we need an equation. Okay, so we're going to begin with this equation. X squared plus 8x plus 15. What you need to do is find two numbers that multiply to 15 and add up to 8. So we want to look at the multiples of 15. So we have 15 and 1 and 5 and 3. So when you start the equation, it'll look like x plus 15 times x plus 1. This would be the factored out version if you did it with these numbers. However, when you try to refoil it, you end up getting x squared plus 16x plus 15, which doesn't match up to this first equation. So if these do not work, then you need to try with 5 and 3. So we set up the same equation, x plus 5 times x plus 3, and then you FOIL this one out, you get x squared plus 8x plus 15, which matches up with our first equation. So this would be the factored out form of x squared plus 8x plus 15.
Another way to factor a quadratic is to complete the square. So for example, if you take x squared plus 10x plus 14, in order to complete the square, you would then subtract 14. So you get negative 14 is equal to, x squared plus 10x, and then you have a blank that you need to fill in. So then, in order to complete the square, you take half of your b value, which is 10, so you'd get 5, and then you'd square it, so you'd end up adding 25 to your right side and 25 to your left side in order to make the function x squared plus 10x plus 25 is equal to 11. And when you're trying to complete the square, you're trying to have one term squared equal to another. So in this case, it would be x plus 5 squared is equal to 11. In order to solve, you take the square root of 11, which then becomes positive or negative radical 11 is equal to x plus 5. And then in order to solve, you just solve this equation, which would be x is equal to radical 11 minus 5, or x is equal to negative radical 11 minus 5. And these are the two roots for this original function.
So we'll be finding the x-intercepts with your calculator. Our equation is 3x squared plus 5x minus 10, and you're going to need your calculator. The first thing you want to do is go to your y equals button. This will allow you to input the equation, and our equation is 3x squared plus 5x minus 10. The first thing you want to do is check your window, so click the window button near the top, and make sure your graph will fit inside of here, so your x minimum, your x maximum, and also your y minimum and your y maximum. After you set those, you can hit graph and view the graph. And as you can see, our x-intercepts will be here and here, where the graph crosses the x-axis. Next thing you want to do is hit second trace, which is the calc button right there, and you can calculate zeros. So you'll click 0, and you'll have a little cursor here, and it'll ask for the left bound. So that's where it is left of the 0. So right now I'm left of this right 0 right here. And then it'll ask for the right bound. You move to the right of it, click to the right a couple times. And then it'll ask you to guess. You can just kind of click close to where it is, hit enter. And that'll give you your 0, which is 1.17359, blah, 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 blah. For finding the other one, you'll just do the same thing, calc, or second trace, 0, move over to the other side and make sure you're left of it. So right here I'm left of this left 0. It'll ask for the right bound again. Move to the right, hit enter, and you can hit enter again, and it'll tell you your zero, which is negative 2.84. So, you're going to learn about polynomial long division. This is used when you have a large polynomial divided by usually a single polynomial. It could be ones with a higher factor like x squared, but we'll just show you this. What you're going to want to do is set up a division symbol like such, and put in your factors. X squared plus 2x squared plus 7x plus 4 divided by x plus 1. I'm going to erase this here. So up here you'll be putting your answers, and down here is where you'll be doing your math. So you're going to want to multiply this by, so this first factor equals this. So x squared times x plus 1 will give you x cubed plus x squared. You write it right here and you subtract. Then you'll take that factor, x squared, which you multiplied this by, and put it up in your answer, because that's what you'll be divided by. So then after subtracting, you'll have 0 plus, this is also negative as well, plus x squared. And then this moves, all of this moves down. So it's plus 7x plus 4. So that's how you get your first factor. Next, you'll divide your x squared plus 7x plus 4 that's left by x plus 1. So you want to multiply this by something that gets the first term to equal x squared, which will be x. So x squared plus x times 1 is x, and that will be subtracted from x squared plus 7x plus 4. And that answer you'll write up here, so plus x. And I write them here so that they line up with the squared and the single x. And doing subtraction, 0 minus 7 minus 1 is 6, plus 6x, move the 4 down. Next, you want to do the same process again, multiply this by something that makes these two equal, which would be 6. So you have 6x, that's it. 6x plus 6, that will be subtracted from 6x minus 4. And you'll take that 6, which you multiplied this by, and add it to your answer up here. Doing subtraction, 0 plus negative 2, 6 minus 4 minus 6. And this negative 2, you can't multiply this by anything that equals negative 2. So what you're going to do, this will be your remainder. And you'll take your remainder and move it up here as well, minus, and you'll put it over whatever you're dividing by. So it's a negative 2, so minus 2 over x plus 1. And that is fully how you do polynomial long division of x cubed plus 2x squared plus 7x plus 4 divided by x plus 1.
So now we're going to work on synthetic division. So the equation we have for this is 3x to the third plus 7x plus 4, all divided by x minus 2. So the way you set this up is, you have a little spot here. So for the way you're dividing by, which is x minus 2, you want to put the value here, which that will make this equation 0, which would be 2. Now you want to write in all the coefficients from the top equation. So we have 3. Since there's no x squared, we need to write in a 0 there because it's a missing term. And we have 7, and we have 4. So that's for x to the third, x squared, x, and then 4. So you bring the 3 down, you multiply it times this number, which is 2. 3 times 2 is 6. And now you do 6 plus 0, which is still 6. We do that times 2, which gives you 12. 12 plus 17 is 19. That times 2 is 38. Now 38 plus 4 is 42. So in this specific problem, it didn't divide completely evenly, so we have a remainder left, which is 42. In other problems, you would have 0 left, which means that it factored out completely fine. But now you write it out as 3x squared plus 6x plus 19. And then for the remainder, you have 42 over what you're dividing by. So you have 42 over x minus 2. And that will be synthetically dividing this equation.